Today we are going to talk about a thriller film called Braid from 2018. If you find a frame from another famous movie in the video, write the time code in the comments. In the next scene, Petula and Tilda calculate how many illegal substances they have and how much they can sell for, but they don't have time to enjoy the prospects of a rich future because the police knock on the door. The girls decide not to open the door and climb out the window onto the fire escape. After that, they run away from the police. But there is one problem. They did not have time to take the goods, which cost almost $100,000. To restore her financial situation, Tilda steals a wallet from a stranger on the train. A car with its doors open and trunk open stands in the forest. Next to the car are 3 women digging a hole. Their faces are hidden by masks and goggles. When they have dug a deep enough hole, they drop several packages into it. The girl reports what happened to the merchant. The train conductor asks the girl for a ticket, but since she doesn't have one, she has to pay with herself. However, the payment turns out to be different from what you might think at first. The conductor obeys the girl and licks her feet. After paying, Petula tidies herself up in front of a mirror. Thoughts from the distant past appear in her mind, as she played with a toy railroad as a child and ran around an old mansion. When they reach their destination, the girls discuss their future plans. A man near the station laughs at them and says that witches always come back here. The girls have only 2 days to return to the merchant and pay for the missing goods. The plan is to sneak into the house of a rich friend, Daphne, with whom the fraudsters were friends in childhood. Somewhere in the mansion is a safe with money. To get inside, you need to accept the rules, namely to play a rather strange game with the hostess. According to Daphne's idea, the game is that she, as a mother, brings her daughter Tilda to Dr. Petula. Now, in adulthood, it is very important to meticulously fulfill the whims of the crazy mistress. After changing her clothes in the taxi, Tilda goes to the mansion in her school uniform. She enters the kitchen and greets Daphne, calling her mom instead of her first name. While the mother works to feed her daughter, the swindler looks at the interior and thinks about where the safe might be. Petula, in the role of a doctor, is preparing to enter the game. She hides the phones in the mailbox and picks up her tools, while remembering the rules of the game. There are only 3 rules. The first rule is that everyone plays the game. The second rule is that there should be no outsiders. And the third rule is that you cannot leave the game. Tilda eats the sandwiches she has made, and her mother suddenly starts yelling at her careless daughter for her dirty and long nails and unbrushed teeth. She grabs a huge pair of scissors and starts to cut her nails, frightening Tilda. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. It is Dr. Petula. The friends are putting on a play for the hostess with an examination of the patient, which ends with a reminder that everyone should play the game. Daphne does not like the superficial examination of her supposedly sick daughter, so she insists on a more thorough examination, which consists of horrifying things. Instead of a small hammer to test her reflexes, the girl has to use a hammer to pound meat. Breaking Tilda's knee gives the mistress pleasure. There are children's drawings on the wall, one of which shows an examination that has just been performed. The other drawings look frightening, as they depict police cars and bloody people on the operating table. A caring mother invites the doctor to dinner. After preparing a strange soup, she serves it to Petula and her daughter, who is tied with ropes. Soon, however, she offers to show the tired doctor to his room. Tilda is left alone. She has memories that look like hallucinations. Petula is lying on the bed and hears a noise. She goes to check it out and finds Daphne taking pills in the kitchen. The hostess takes a knife from the sink and gently asks the doctor to stay with her because she feels more comfortable. Then she kisses her friend, and they do things on the table that are forbidden on YouTube. In the morning, Tilda tries to pick the lock on her mailbox. Her partner finds her doing this. Tilda is curious about how much the hostess paid for the doctor's visit, but the envelope contains only hand-drawn money. This makes Tilda furious, but they still have 28 hours to find the safe with the money. To calm down a bit, Tilda takes a pill because she thinks it's a painkiller. However, they are not painkillers at all, and the girl sinks into a strange state. She sees herself and her friends as children. Petula also takes a pill and goes into the house. Tilda starts chasing the little girls she sees. She runs around the mansion, and she doesn't realize what she is doing because she is haunted by memories. She and the girls are in a tree house. The girl starts swearing because she is tired of this stupid game. Daphne argues with her, and then Tilda pushes her without calculating her strength. The hostess falls down, and the girls remember the past again. The girls are in the hospital corridor discussing what happened. The doctor informs them that Daphne is unlikely to ever have children due to the numerous injuries to her abdomen. Later, an adult Daphne stands in front of a cabinet with many pregnancy tests on it. Petula sneaks around the mansion, and she imagines herself on a train. Having difficulty finding the car keys in the bedroom, the fraudster runs outside to get her friend. The girl drags her to the car to drive away. But suddenly Daphne appears with a baseball bat and stuns them both with blows to the head. Detective Siegel is getting ready for another day at work. He tries to have breakfast with the remains of last night's dinner and then gets into the police car. On the keys is a keychain with a child's toy, the same one that the girls gave him many years ago. During the interview, he notices that there are wanted notices at his workplace for 2 girls. On the phone, he says that he will personally take care of the case. Daphne is sitting on the floor next to 2 girls who are tied with a rope. The girls try to get out and say something, but the gags prevent them from doing so. The sounds irritate the owner, and she shouts at the girls and calls herself their mother, but the sound of the doorbell distracts her. Detective Siegel is standing at the door. He was brought in by a complaint from neighbors who were complaining about strange sounds that sounded like women screaming. Daphne says it's the new medication she's not used to. The landlady wants to send the detective away, but he notices water dripping from the ceiling and offers to see what's going on. A conversation ensues, and it turns out that Daphne's grandparents recently died. Then Siegel sees an old photo of his hostess as a child. He wonders what happened to all her other friends, but Daphne admits that she does not communicate with them. She becomes very angry and overreacts. The detective realizes that she is hiding something. He asks her again where her friends are. The hostess does not want to answer, but suddenly a noise comes from the 2nd floor. The man wants to check it out, but is stopped by a shout demanding a search warrant. Daphne is unusually smart, and she tells the detective that he should leave. He doesn't have long before he retires, and he shouldn't ruin his reputation with a complaint about an illegal search. Daphne diligently boards the windows to make it harder to escape or get in. At the same time, Petula and Tilda are walking around the house looking for the safe. They meet in the dining room, and the landlady tells them that she wants to play with them. She reads a riddle poem. If the girls win, she will take the blame. Otherwise, the grave will open. Petula doesn't understand what this means, but Tilda persuades her to continue searching for the safe by following the clues. While she distracts her mother, Petula runs around the mansion. Suddenly, she discovers a safe in the wall. The girl uses the numbers she received on each clue. She opens the safe, and inside is Daphne's inheritance. The girl finds Tilda, and together they leave the house at night. The girls go to the highway, but no one wants to give them a ride. Tired, Tilda sits down on the side of the road to rest, and a quarrel breaks out. During the quarrel, Petula is hit by a car. Later, she wakes up chained to a chair, and Tilda is sitting in a small wooden cage. Daphne confesses that this night reminds her of the time she poisoned her grandparents, who wanted to take her to the hospital. She then makes cuts on Petula and Tilda's faces. A man whom Petula and Tilda met near the train station is brought to the police station. He says he saw the missing girls from the ad. They looked like mermaids. Daphne tells the guests that the game is over and they are now free. There is only one caveat, because all the newspapers have printed their photos. The police are looking for the girls because they are selling illegal substances. The landlady wants them to leave as soon as possible because she still has to repair the house in time to finish it before the baby is born. Tilda snaps at her, calling her crazy, and reminds her that a woman cannot get pregnant because of her trauma. Daphne denies reality. Petula, who has been silent all this time, interrupts the conversation. Petula again pretends to be a doctor and asks the mistress to come to the office because the issue concerns pregnancy and surgical intervention may be necessary. The owner of the mansion is lying on the operating table, and the fraudsters in surgical suits are preparing for the operation. At this time, Detective Siegel arrives at the house. He hears music and wanders around the house. The policeman manages to enter the makeshift operating room just as one of the girls raises a scalpel over Daphne. At gunpoint, he drives them away from the body, forcing them to raise their hands and kneel. But as soon as he gets closer, the lying Daphne abruptly stands up and stabs him in the back with a scalpel. The detective falls down, and Tilda and Daphne finish him off. Petula is shocked by all this. Daphne hands her a meat hammer so that she can take part in the massacre. When Petula strikes the first blow, the 3 of them become bound by the same crime. The 3 girls bury the body in a hole in the woods. After that, they return to the mansion. The police car is still parked in front of the house. They drive it to the pond and push it into the water. After a while, all 3 of them are having lunch at the table as if nothing had happened, continuing their strange game. The behavior of each character becomes more strange. Tilda is hysterical like a little child, and Petula injures her face while trying to shave. I won't say anything about Daphne, you know what I mean. At some point, Dr. Petula begins to hallucinate. She sees a bloody detective. The girl finds a child's toy in the mailbox, the same one they gave to the policeman as a child. She digs up the detective's grave but finds no bones. Returning to the house, the swindler falls exhausted and falls asleep. She dreams of the train that brought them. All its passengers are sleeping in unnatural positions. When she wakes up, she finds a book under the couch describing the last events of her life. The fraudster is overwhelmed by many unexplained memories, including how her friends insulted her. She does not remember how long she has been here. The girl always runs away from this mansion, but then returns. The number of times she ran away from the mansion can be counted by the scars on her arm. Daphne left one scar for each escape. Petula rolls up her sleeves and sees a lot of marks on her arms. The girl wants to run away, but runs into Tilda at the door. Her friend tells Daphne to go to her room, and she obediently does so. Petula begs her friend to leave. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Tilda answers the phone, but her entire story about the police raid has long been memorized. She doesn't even remember what the merchant to whom she is making excuses looks like. What's worse, she doesn't even know what day it is. Tilda convinces her friend to come with her. They go to the children's room. There's a train running down the road. A police car stands next to a toy replica of the mansion. Daphne draws in her sketchbook with seagull paints. But even this is not the end. Tilda says goodbye to her life in the bathroom. Petula does the same with a rope, and Daphne drinks poison. The final scene shows an abandoned and old mansion. Only in the kitchen, an elderly woman is washing dishes, as Daphne used to do. She hears the sound of a door opening, and a girl's voice says, "Hi, Mom."